So we're starting to record. Sometimes I keep the recorder going. Sometimes I pause it. But you can help me out by making sure that I always have the recorder going. There's 3 parts of the show. First part is about you. You know, I lost all of my. Wait a second. I'm getting an echo. I lost all of my windows. What I think happened is I was on a Zoom right before this, and I probably forgot to reboot my whole computer after Zoom. And before I do anything, I always reboot. I'm getting a little echo.
I'm not hearing it.
I'm getting an echo. I'm definitely getting an echo. So stay with me. I'm going to go in and out.
And he's gone. And he's back.
Yeah. So anyway, let me bring up your notes. I had like 3 tabs open.
My camera.
It's good. What kind of camera do you have? God, I have this echo. I hate this.
Nice. There we go. Much better. It's a Logitech. Much better.
Logitech, yeah.
Yeah.
I hear a dog.
That would be my dog. Red-billed coonhound.
Okay, this is dangerous here. There we go. Mute that. Okay. It's Murphy's Day. It may not work. I should be able to mute this one. There it goes. Now it should work. Yeah, that was the echo. Okay, we lost the echo.
Okay.
Oh, so I've modified that little form you filled out. I've actually added a little clip I made last night on Blab. I made a little quick blab of what is timelines and how to get interviewed. So I just put that up today, last night. I'm going to do a screen
very cool
today on that. Okay, Bedford. So, and the 3 parts of the show. The first part's about you. You know how I like to start, though? Oh, I hate this. I've got an echo.
Well, I'm seeing 2 of you.
Oh, that's fine because I've got this on. That shouldn't cause the echo.
Okay.
Oh, goodness. If this is recording, the echo is not good. Let me try something.
Mike's saying, remember to
do the pre-show. 3 parts of the show, about 7 to 8 minutes each. And we still have an echo, but I'm going to go with it. Hopefully it doesn't show up. It's not bad. And let's see. I got to bring up your framework. So just talking a little bit about, you live in a beautiful part of the country. I was stationed at Fort Devens, Mass. Met my wife in Nashua. She is from Beverly, which I know is not too far from where you are. You're close to Manchester, right?
Right next door.
Yeah. So
it is a nice area up here.
Now, how long have you been in the public speaking business and what you're doing now?
About 7 years now.
7 years. What did you do before?
So before my speaking and authorship and consulting, I worked in corporate America. So I worked for companies like Johnson & Johnson and Cephalon, Covidien, some of the bigger companies out there doing sales leadership, sales management, etc.
I remember 128 used to be
it's the tech corridor up here. Yeah.
Yeah, around the edge. A lot of work. People would commute in, and you're smart living in New Hampshire. We looked at Nashua. We looked at New Hampshire and Nevada. After I got out of the military, I wanted to try something different. Very, very close to going back to New Hampshire, probably because of my mom. We stayed out west.
Gotcha.
But my wife's family is in Massachusetts, mostly, and on the East Coast.
Yeah, it's nice up here. So, no sales tax, which is nice. No income tax, which is nice.
I know it's pretty
taxes,
amazing.
Yeah, it's we've got property tax, but that goes into the town that you're living in, so you don't mind paying the higher property taxes because it goes towards education.
I always thought that was the best way, because that way, if you have more property, you pay more taxes. I thought just one simple tax is the way to run a state, just like New Hampshire's run.
Yeah, it's pretty simple.
Because we don't have income tax here, but they tax everything, and even there's so many different business taxes. If you're retired, Nevada is a great place. But if you have a business, there are taxes at all different levels in our business. I had to pay $14 for my home equipment in my home office.
That's ridiculous.
I mean, is it worth collecting? I mean, everything, everywhere you turn, and California didn't even have the taxes they have on businesses, but then the big businesses aren't taxed the same way. So, unless you're a casino, then they have an entertainment tax.
Dang.
Some hopefully they don't classify me as entertainment.
Well, I know I get slammed in other states. Like when I go to California, I get slammed with an entertainment tax as a speaker. Mm-hmm. So there's an additional. So I still feel the
pain. And then some cities have a visitor's business tax, occupancy tax, but we make most of ours off the tourism and the revenues, and gold mining and the casinos. So it's good, but if you're retired, it's great. That's why we get a lot of public employees and law enforcement retiring here. So anyway, let's get this going. I'm going to pause. The main thing is I got to make sure that little red dot, that recorder's on.
Recording's on.
And I'm going to start right away. What I'll do is I'm going to do post-production on your background. Your background's primarily in speaking on leadership. And I like to sort of figure out, how did you get into that business, how other people can get in. So I think I'll sort of go that direction. Sure. And then what your focus is on your discussion for the first 7 to 8 minutes. Then we'll go into leadership principles, short commercial for yourself, and then one last question. We'll think about that question. So let me pause for a second. Lauran, welcome to Timelines.
Thanks for having me.
So we're a long ways away. You're up in New Hampshire, and we're out in Reno, Nevada. So it's a long, long ways, all the way across country. Yeah, it's snowing up there, and it's kind of cold here too. So how are things going? Are you getting ready for the primaries?
We're getting ready for the primaries. We're getting ready for the Super Bowl, even though the Patriots aren't in it. The kids are all getting ready to start, and my mailbox is just full of propaganda.
Right. Oh yeah, you're getting all the advertisements, the TV, you're getting slammed right now. It's a very, very, very big election. I know that for both the Republicans and the Democrats. That's probably even more so in Iowa. So that's good. Interesting times. And one thing about, you mentioned the Super Bowl. We usually in Las Vegas or in Reno, we get huge populations. We probably still will get fairly good groups of people coming out here for the Super Bowl. It's a big Super Bowl party town. But since it's in San Francisco, or actually Santa Clara, San Francisco, all the parties are over there right now. So there's a lot of people probably staying over in San Francisco for the parties that'll be going on all weekend. This is the weekend where it's an unofficial holiday for Americans to party. And eat guacamole.
And eat guacamole.
So I guess you're not speaking this weekend, so you're not competing against the Super Bowl?
No. We don't compete against the Super Bowl.
So finding out a little bit about yourself and your background, you've been speaking for 7 years. How did you evolve and become a speaker?
You know, I did the corporate track for about 15 years. Then I decided to stay home and have kids. And then I decided to return back to the workplace. And it was my mentor at the time who said to me, you need to be part of the solution instead of being part of the problem. In other words, you need to create a platform where you share your leadership ideas to many instead of just one company. So that's really where this coaching, consulting, and then speaking was birthed from. But I mean, I have a background in musical theater. I've been on stage my entire life. So this, the speaking is just a natural platform for me.
Where were you raised?
Billerica, Massachusetts. Woohoo!
Where in Mass?
Billerica.
I don't know where Billerica is. I lived in Mass for a few years. My wife's from Beverly. So where's Billerica?
Billerica is right next to Chelmsford. It's right on the Route 3 corridor.
Okay. I sort of know. I know where Chelmsford is in Route 3. I was on 2 and 2A going out to Mass. Yeah. Worcester. Leominster.
Exactly. It's a wicked good time.
Yeah. All the words. My wife can speak Boston. So very good. So you grew up, went up to New Hampshire. New Hampshire's a beautiful state, still not overly populated, really great tax base, great place to run a business from. You can slip right down into a high population area, which is Boston, or actually Boston's not as big as people think. The population itself is not like New York. New York is huge.
Yeah. But in New York's only a couple hours away.
Yeah.
Add another hour, you're in Jersey. So it's a great location to run a business. It's a great location to have kids. Yeah, I can't complain. I love it up here.
And you've got Logan too, which is JetBlue. So that's another thing in a business is in your business, be someplace where you can get to an airport and get around the country at a reasonable rate.
Absolutely.
Because you can fly JetBlue dirt cheap. My wife last week went just back to New York on JetBlue for $62 each way.
Nice.
Pretty amazing.
I love that.
Yeah, it's nice. Well, we have to get around. So where are some of the places that you speak, and what do you speak on?
So I speak pretty much all over the country as well as up into Canada. And I speak in two areas. I do a lot of work in women's empowerment, and then following that with generational inclusion. So my umbrella is that inclusionary mission or message, where it's not so much about leadership and gender. It's about recognizing who are the good leaders and then creating development around that platform, creating development that fits their needs. So that's pretty much what I speak about. And then, like I said, the generational inclusion, looking at generations that are coming in, like the millennials, my millennial folks out there, and stop labeling, stop blaming, start recognizing what each generation brings to the table for a strength, and then develop it.
We can dig a little deeper on that, because I do see a divide, especially between the millennials and people who are getting ready to retire between 50 and 60. And it's more of a technology divide, but I start seeing that breaking down. And I think that people in their 40s and 50s and even 60s now are starting to get into like Twitter and some of these other communication systems.
Well, that's what the millennials bring to the table. You know, tap a millennial on the shoulder and say, hey, teach me social media, or teach me how you're processing the data faster, or teach me mining for that matter. How do you go onto the internet and find solutions? And if you're not tapping that millennial, you're really wasting a resource. You're wasting a resource, and you're not cultivating a co-creative relationship by not tapping into that. So I love my millennials out there.
So how old are your kids?
So I have the next generation, Generation I. So my children are tweens. They're between the ages of 11 and 14.
Okay, we've got 13, 15, and 29.
Oh, God. There you go. So you get the millennials and the I generation.
I met my wife when she was 19, and I got married on a 4-day pass. We had Brian, and then we went off, and I stayed in the military and got out after about 9 years. We started a business, and then my wife started a business. And once it was established, she decided she wanted to go and have another family, have more kids. So that's kind of nice. We had a 10-year break.
Yeah. And a babysitter.
Yeah, he was 13. Yeah, yeah, it worked. But he's definitely a millennial, and so we saw him come up with the computers. And yeah, he's actually, there's a difference in millennials, but so we've seen both sides, but the kids today are very sharp too. And another thing I noticed is it's becoming easier. The user interface is becoming easier for people to learn the process and get online.
Oh, it's had to.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing. And TV and streaming areas. I'm going to go ahead and lock this down. We have a live audience, which we thank, but we'll lock it down, and we'll open this up in about 20 minutes after we're done with the podcast.
Cool.
Just folks out there in the podcast world, we just had someone pop up. I forgot to lock it down. So driving on, let's see, what are some of the other things you can do to get into the speaking? Let's say I want to start speaking myself. What's the best way to start?
You know, the best way to start is to figure out what it is you want to speak about. What is it that gives you goosebumps? You know, where does your passion lie? What is your message? And then become all-knowing in that area. A lot of people think that, oh, I could just go speak, and they throw their name out on a shingle, and then they wonder, why aren't I getting booked? Well, you know, you've got to have the following, and you've got to have that thought leadership, the content, not just because, let's face it, I would love it if I could come up with a new leadership idea, like an idea that's never been thought of in the leadership world. That's just not going to happen. But my spin, my perspective, my take on that leadership is very unique. So from that standpoint, that's where you develop your message around. You know, what makes your message different than what's being said out there? And then start speaking. Start speaking. Speak for free if you need to. Speak for Rotary clubs. Just get your name out there and start speaking.
I can relate to that and go to different places. I've always been interested in speaking and finding the time to speak too. So it does take time and effort. Now, once you start speaking for free, do you have someone who books you or manages your speaking?
Yeah, at this point in my career, I work with 2 speaker bureaus, and then I have a speaking agent that does all my bookings for me.
So what's the difference between a speaking bureau and a agent?
So a speaker's bureau typically will have 10 to 15 speakers on the same topic. And clients will reach out to them and say, we have a conference coming up. We're looking for a speaker that speaks on this with this type of messaging. And the speaker bureau will say, I've got 4 or 5 people that fit that bill. Here's their information. They're like the marketing person. Here's the information. Here's their video. And take a look, take a listen, see which one fits your needs the most. So
now,
that's...
do they help you with your website and development?
No.
How'd you learn how to put together a team with a website and connections to that? There's a lot nowadays. You really have to have a good website. You have to have a way to contact people.
Yeah, and I think that's how you and I met, actually. We were doing a website overview a couple Sundays ago. And yeah, I had a rough out website for a while that I created, a WordPress website. You really should spend whatever you're making as a speaker, whatever one of your keynotes is or workshops is, that's what you should spend on your website. If you're not tech savvy, hire it out. Hire it out. So when it came to my marketing material, when it came to my website, I went in debt, basically. I hired it all out until I could pay it back.
I totally agree with you. The other thing, too, is when you say hire it out, even though I become fairly tech savvy and I have a background in engineering, what I suggest people do is learn the basics of WordPress, understand how to protect your domain, and then contract it out, because you don't have time to do everything. That's one of my weak points, is I try to do too much and it slows me down. You got to focus on what you do best, and then hire the people or contract with a team who does things better than you. So totally agree with that.
Oh, absolutely. If I were doing everything, I wouldn't be able to write. I wouldn't have time to speak.
Yeah. So how long do you write too? How do you find time to do both speaking and writing?
I build it into my schedule. So, being an entrepreneur, being a business owner, you live and die by your schedule. So I build out 2-hour time blocks every day to write. Now, some of those time blocks are very productive and some of them are not. Sometimes it gets sabotaged with other activities, but it's in my schedule. I have a book out right now, Your Power Pivot. That's already available on Amazon and Barnes & Noble. It's a bestseller. It's doing really well. And then my next work, which is Pivotal Generation, again, I have to build that time in.
Is there a correlation between the speaking and the writing?
Oh, absolutely, yes. Well, that's thought leadership. So, yeah, once you have a book out there or content that's available, yeah, your platform is pretty much starting to formulate itself.
So with that, we're going to go to a break, and then coming back off the break, I'm going to ask you, how do you balance your family time with your business? And one last thought before we get a break. The way we met, I'm going back now, is you were actually in an airport after coming back from a couple of speaking engagements in between flights, and you came up on your phone on Blab, and you were working on your website and listening to different shows. I think that's correct. Yeah, because that's means you're optimizing your time.
Optimizing the time.
So with that, we'll go to a break.
Okay.
Okay, Lauran, coming back off the break, we're going to look at how do you balance being a mom and a business person and a speaker and out there up front with your family. And then the second thing, we'll go into your life and success principles.
Sure.
So how do you do it? How do you have a husband that?
Yeah, and I the simple answer, I drink a lot of wine.
Good.
I like my wine. But yes, I have my husband. He is my rock. He really is. He works 5 minutes from the house. So we have a really good partnership in that sense. And then it's just time management. For me, my business allows me to be the mom that I want to be, because I try to coach all of the kids' sports. I mean, we're pretty involved in our kids' academic and their extracurricular activities. So it's just, like I said before, it all comes down to scheduling and being really clear. I don't waste time. I really don't. It's really clear as to where I need to be and what I need to do. And as I said earlier, if it's not making me money, I farm it out to somebody else to do.
Yeah, it's smart. You have to do that. And that's like I said, one of my weaknesses, I try to do too much. And I just, however you evolve, and I think you have to contract out certain work, but then you have to stay profitable. And I've got a theory on that. I think people should generally, unless they're independently wealthy, ease into stuff, keep their job, and then start working on the side on other things, which is going to Toastmasters, whatever it might be. Did you go to Toastmasters when you were younger?
I did not, no.
Wow, speaker without going to Toastmasters.
I know, shocker, right? Well, like I said, I've got the on and off Broadway background, and what I do is it's all me. I
think acting is a truly valuable skill. I didn't do enough of it, but I did a little bit as a kid in school, in high school, and really enjoyed it. Nice. We had summer play. I forgot what exactly they call it, but there were play groups or academies, and we just do little skits and practice. And growing up, I grew up in Southern California, so Hollywood wasn't far away. So everyone's they're always dreaming of Hollywood, but it was a lot of fun. It was good just to be around the crowd. I enjoyed the people in theater. But didn't do enough of it. If I had to do it again, I'd probably do a lot more.
Well, you could still go back and do it.
Yeah, I could.
The theater doesn't end, so you can still go back and find some of those community theater groups around and dive in, and why not?
That's very true. Problem is I'm doing a daily podcast right now. Maybe, you have to always give something for something, but that is true. You can always do that as you get older. Indefinitely, you can do that. So it's very good. Very good. So driving on, let's go into life and success principles.
Get something for something that is true. You can always do that when you get older.
Well, now you heard my smartphone, folks.
I heard your smartphone.
We got the smartphone speaking back to me. That is crazy. Nice. That happens once in a while.
No, I'm still here for you.
I'm still here for you. Nice that she's there for you.
That's
awesome.
What did I say
Siri.
to be so needed today? I'm going to turn you off. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Come on. Maybe that's my problem. My smartphone is like not cooperating today. That's scary.
Yeah.
So driving on, that's a good transition. And let's go to your life and success principles. The first one is own it and be accountable for your success.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
That's one of my favorite ones, because I think we're all really quick to give away our success. When somebody says, hey, you did a great job there, it's, oh, well, it wasn't just me, or, oh, I hired it out, or, oh, right. Even myself in the beginning of the show, how do I make it all work? I'm like, well, if it doesn't make me money, I hire it out. That's it. That's part of that owning it. We need to be accountable for our own success. Success does not just happen. It doesn't. You have to plan for it. And you can't be afraid of it. You cannot be afraid of success. If you are, you won't succeed. So it's all about accountability, owning it.
Earl Nightingale, who was a wonderful speaker and a top Toastmaster, used to say, opportunity is where success meets preparedness. Mm-hmm. And that's what you just said, basically. You have to prepare, plan, and your success will come.
Yeah.
And luck will come. And it doesn't always go right, but you keep on working and eventually it'll go your way. It's called probability and statistics. Good. And you said create a plan. So that fits right into what you just said
create
about.
Create that plan. Yeah. What does it look like?
So how do you create the plan? What tools do you use?
Yeah, I am old fashioned. I love my pen and paper. I have a vision board that I use with pictures on it. But what does that success look like? What is it going to bring me? And then how do I get there? How do I get there? It seems like we're taking a step back where we used to really do a lot of 30, 60, 90-day planning. And for small businesses and entrepreneurs, they think as soon as they hang that shingle up that they're an entrepreneur, it's just going to magically appear. And it doesn't. You have to have that. What am I going to do in these 30 days to drive business? What am I going to do in 60 days to drive business? With the goals in mind. And more importantly, who can I tap on the shoulder to help get me there?
Yeah. So it's your network. Your planning is part of with your network and your people to give advice. Look at your plan. SMART goals are real popular, but those are more planning tools than goals. Yeah. Goals something that you reach out for that you may not attain, but you work at it and you develop a plan to meet it.
And it has to work.
Right. It has to work. That's what SMART goals are. They actually are attainable. And then you attain them as fast as you can. So the next one is failure is not an option. That was my favorite. I meant to lead off our show with failure is not an option. That's absolutely my favorite. So what does that mean to you?
It's not an option. Failure, exactly what it says. Failure is not an option. That's one of my life mottos, failure is not an option. Anything I undertake, failure is not an option. You push through. You figure out how to get around the roadblocks. I look at every contract where there are opportunities as almost like the game of Survivor. How do I put the odds in my favor? What do I need to move around? And then jump on it. Even when my schedule is completely taxed out, if I sit down and say, I'm going to write another book, then I'm going to write another book. Failure it's just not an option. When you take failure out of the success equation, you'll really uncover what you're really afraid of. And most people aren't afraid of failure. They're afraid of success. So get rid of the crutch of failure and realize, all right, wait a minute, maybe it's the success that's holding me back. And now how do I address that? How do I address that fear of success? What will happen if I'm as successful as I should be?
Because failure is not an option. You say it's how we grow.
Yeah.
So sometimes it doesn't always go perfect, and sometimes we don't meet those goals on schedule. So what do? What are some of your setbacks? I won't call them failures, but setbacks, and how did you get through them?
Oh gosh, setbacks happen every single day, and I write down when a setback happens. I put it on a yellow. Look, I even have my yellow sticky notes right here. I write it on a sticky note, and then later I'll go back to and be like, well, what did I learn from that setback? Did I overtax my time? Did I not prepare enough to meet that demand or that challenge? If I'm speaking to a new audience, did I prepare enough or did I not prepare enough? I mean, life happens. Life happens, and we're all human, and we all make mistakes, but it's that growth pattern. Through those mistakes come those aha moments where I go, ooh, maybe I should have done this, or I should have done that. And then next time I do it.
Mm-hmm. Now, when you speak, you just thought, when you're like being prepared, doesn't the audience feed back to you, and how they react really makes you become a good speaker or gets you going?
Absolutely, absolutely. There's a couple different schools of thought on speaking. Some speakers write down their entire talk, they memorize it, they present it. Some speakers, in that category, that's how they base out their talks. I myself come up with 3 or 4 bullet points. What do I want the audience to take away? And then I just go with it. It's more, my speaking style is more improvisational speaking, where I know the content inside out and backwards, but it's feeding off of what the audience needs. So audience is big for me.
Very good. With that, we're going to go to a break, and coming back off the break, we're going to give you a short commercial and then one last question. Actually, it's going to be one last topic, because we talked pre-show a little bit about, the politics that are occurring and happening in your state, and some of the things that you see as an outsider looking in at politics and where they can improve the candidates. So, Lauran, we're coming in off the break, and the first thing we want to know is, how does the listener contact you?
The easiest way is just to go right to my website. That's lauranstar.com, LauransTar.com. Everything is there. My social media is there. If you want to shoot me an email, there's a contact form there. It's the quickest, cleanest way to reach me.
All right, Lauran, we'll have also that on show notes, so you can find it at Timelines of Success. And it's episode 198. That's a lot of episodes. So going on, this is going to be the one last topic. Now, one last question. But you have the primary coming up in a few days. And you see all the candidates. You have more than most Americans, because you're one of the early primary states. So you're seeing all the political mail. You're seeing all the speeches. They had a debate last night. What kind of advice can you give the politicians to make themselves present better to people as a speaker?
I think they need to stop with the propaganda and rhetoric. They need to show us the solutions. I'm hearing that over and over and over again, and I've made it to quite a few of the rallies. I just go because I want to hear what they have to say, and they're all saying the same thing in different language, but we're not hearing solutions. it's nice for one candidate to say, we're going to stop, we want to shrink the wage gap or the gender salary gap, but I can't tell you how we're going to do that. Like that's the soundbite, but there's no solution. And I can go on and on about that, about how minimum wage is not going to shorten that gap. Or we can hear other candidates just, saying, as far as ISIS goes, we need to pound them into dirt. That's not a solution. That's a reaction. I think for the listeners out there, you need to do your research. All you're getting is sound bites. And if you're going to make your decision off sound bites, you're going to get what you deserve. You need to do the research. You need to fully understand what that candidate's platform is all about. And does it fit your needs? Does it fit your needs? Because both sides are just throwing mud at the wall and seeing what sticks. That's my 2 cents worth.
Yeah. The way politicians generally have talking points, and they try to stay on. That's how they put together the speeches. I've been right next to Dole up on the podium when I was younger. And I went to 3 different speeches with him, was up on the podium with my family. And they just moved around the pages and moved the talking points. So the paragraphs, the speeches were all canned and just over and over the same thing, the same 20 points for a month. 3 times I got to go up during the campaign because of my position. I was a very young elected city councilman and vice mayor.
Nice.
And in a community, so we got invited to go every time we would come into town to go up and down the Central Valley. So that's the first place I noticed that type of discussion. It was the same thing over and over. They want to stay on message. That's what they say, at least. So I agree.
And I understand that.
Yeah. It is tough, especially when you had so many candidates in the Republican side running. It makes it difficult to break through the noise. And you got somebody from New England or Northeast. Unique. Trump is a very unique candidate. He's not the normal candidate.
Oh, he's ridiculous. I'm sorry, but he is. And you can unlike me and what I don't care.
Don't worry about it.
It is what it is. I'm
not voting for Trump.
Yeah,
I get the caucus,
language.
So do you have caucuses there, or did you just vote at polls?
We just vote at polls.
I get to caucus. That means you go and you talk and you break up and you finally get down to like 2 candidates and you vote. It's kind of interesting.
Yeah, that would be nice. We don't do that up here, which is unfortunate.
It was invented in the Northeast, the caucus. It's a town hall meeting. That's how it used to be done.
Yeah.
So states that do it now.
I would love to see both parties limit who they allow in to run. Take all that propaganda money and put it on the national debt.
Primaries before primaries, yes. A lot of money is spent.
Well, I think you need to have, and I know because I've said this on my social media pages as well, that we need to select better who's allowed to run. And it's not it's not a financial or a socioeconomic, it's who's qualified to run. And I think this race, more so than any other race, we have people that are just blatantly not qualified, like Trump, running for their primary seat, and they're not qualified. It's a waste of time and energy.
Just a slight note before we finish. The way that works is each state party has the requirements to run, and you have to qualify within that state. And I'm sure a judge oversees some of those requirements, but it varies from state to state. In California, it's actually somewhat difficult to get your name on the ballot, either through cost or for signatures. You either gather like 1,400 signatures to run for Congress from your party, or you have to pay some amount plus signatures. So they require it. In Nevada, it's actually fairly easy to get your name on the ballot. So every state determines who's going to be on the ballot for their party or independent. So that's how they get on. It's state by state, which is kind of good, I guess. But that's an interesting thought. I don't know how you'd ever limit that. But as it is now, you only have really 2 or 3 people from the Democrats running, but a handful from the Republicans. So it is somewhat limited, but it's tough. It costs a lot of money to run that national campaign.
Yeah. Let's pay down the national debt instead.
So one last question. So we have the Super Bowl coming up. We've got the Panthers, which hardly anybody knows about, and we've got the Cardinals out of Arizona. When we know that New England won't win this year. Yeah,
New England's not going to win.
So do you have a favorite between those two?
I got to go with Manning. I'm sorry. I was going to, I'm like, I don't know who the hell the Panthers are, but
I'm going to say Denver. Yeah, Manning. I lost it there for a second.
That's okay.
New England, our 2 teams are New England and San Francisco, my family. That makes sense. East Coast, West Coast. So
yeah, I'd be happy if Peyton won.
I meant to say Denver. Denver Broncos. I messed that one up. That's a good one to finish on. See, I made a mistake, but we bounced back. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. This will be up on YouTube in a few minutes. It'll be up on a blog, and then tonight it'll be up on a podcast. So, thank you very much, Lauran. We'll have to watch you speak one of these days when you get out west in Reno, Nevada.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Stay on, and we'll open it up for questions, and we'll go to the YouTube portion. This is not quite the end of the show.
Great.
Anybody has any questions they want to come up? We got Mike up there. He's from Stowe, Ohio. We got Jonathan. And Jonathan actually reviewed your website on that Saturday morning.
Oh, yes.
Coming up. That's kind of fun doing the websites. And then Roxanne has had to take off. Thanks. It's kind of fun with Blab. Now, you have what's your Blab show? What's your channel? So we can get that on. Do you have
Pivotal
a channel?
Women.
What is it?
Pivotal Women.
Pivotal Women. How many shows have you done?
We've done 2 shows thus far. So we just launched it.
You have to basically, do you send out an email blast to folks to have them watch? What time? When do you do it?
We do it on Mondays at 12 o'clock.
Eastern. So same time, like right now.
Same time. I like that lunchtime hour.
Yeah. How's that work? You think that's good? And 9 o'clock is good.
Yeah, 9 o'clock is good. Most of my audience is working. They're working, so the lunchtime hour is key.
You know what I've done? I've actually listened to blabs, and some really good blabs I've listened to instead of watching in my pocket. Just listen to my phone. Yeah. Some are very good to listen to.
Yeah, there's some really talented blabs out there.
Mm-hmm. And it's growing. They're getting some top names. Now, you had a podcast. You said you still have a podcast, right? I'm going to try to find that.
Yep, Empowering Women.
Empower.
I have the easiest way is if you just download my app. So there's
you got the app too. That's
I have an app. So just go to Lauran Star on your iPhone or on your Android, and you can download the app right there.
Oh, that's good. So yeah, they have a free app. Do you have Lipson as a provider?
I have no idea.
I hired that out. How many shows do you have up?
I think we've got about 392 shows, I think, is what's up.
392. Wow. Oh, no.
Yeah, we did it for 3 years, a little over 3 years.
Wow. You started early.
I started early.
And you've kept that up. It's a lot of work, though, isn't it?
It is a lot of work. And I knew it was time to end it when I started getting really bored, where my audience would be like, hello, Lauran, are you paying attention? I'm like, oh, yes, and I'm paying attention.
That's a lot of multitasking. You've really paid your dues. What made you, because of the speaking, you created the podcast? I
created the podcast, mostly for the speaking. And that's why I'm doing the blab. I love the blab.
I think blab, I actually wrote a course that would teach people how to do podcasts, but what I told in the course, basically, you do with call recorder and Skype, you put up on YouTube first about 10 shows, and I did that. I really liked that. So you just had the sound, and you listen to it, and they said, do you want to go to the next step, create iTunes? Because that's a lot of work and cost and expense. And it is a lot of work. New. And I think even more things like Blab, when we get so we can put slides down here, I've even played around with Zoom.
I haven't played with Zoom yet.
I made a podcast with Zoom. What's nice about Zoom, it's free too. You can get a premium, but you don't need it. I use Zoom all the time, but you can put slides across the bottom and you can share a screen.
Oh, nice.
So there's some really great. Have you done webinars?
I do a ton of webinars. And I use Revisit for that.
What's the purpose of the webinar?
They're usually training webinars, so it's retention material that I offer up to my clients.
For your clients. So you have like coaching?
Coaching and yes.
Speaking and coaching. So I'm looking at your website right now, which is very nice.
Talent development.
Where would I find your speaking, but where would I find like your coaching contacts?
If you go to LS Group, which is up in the corner, it'll launch you into my consulting arm of my business.
LS, what does that? I didn't see that before.
Yeah.
So you point people there basically.
Yeah.
That's nice. Now you have we didn't see this last time, I don't think, when we looked at your website.
It should have been there.
Now, how did you do your graphics and your design?
I hired that all out.
How did you hire? But you know what? That's easier said than done.
I know. You know, I actually did a decent amount of research, checking out PR companies, checking out graphic design companies to see who felt like Lauran. And then I had 4 companies submit proposals to me with an example, and Annie Jennings PR is the company I went with because they nailed it first time go. We didn't have to change anything.
Where are they located?
She's in New York, New Jersey.
You're lucky in that aspect because you're fairly close to the media corridor
In
a weird way, and that's.
Although she works with everybody, you know, she works across the globe, so.
But you can physically see them from time to time, I'm sure. Just a quick shaking of the hand is something about.
Yeah.
So that's kind of wow. You've done a lot. Jonathan called it out. We know when we see a good website that you put the time, money, and effort and got the right quality of people. How long have you had this site up?
About a year now.
I'm gonna stick some of these links in here.
About a year, and now it's going through its facelift. So it's like all websites. I see it as a living, breathing document. So, you know, all new videos. We're in the process of uploading all new videos, and
yeah, I saw that a little bit. I was playing with, but I like it's you know, it works. It's designed for a iPhone or smartphone, and it's responsive, of course. It's a modern site. Yeah, it's a beautiful site. I think that's half the battle is looking right online.
Yeah,
mine looks like a guy designs. Mine is designed just for a podcast. But this, and then you got pivot. What's this? Pivot to the left.
Power Pivot. That's my blog. Or my Power Pivot online magazine.
So that's your blog. Yeah, now that makes sense. That looks like the blog, and it's sort of hidden out of the way. Not hidden, but I bet you get pretty good content.
I get decent content and
So, but there's no link to your old podcast on here, is there?
No. Nope. You have to have the app to get the old podcasts.
So you don't want that on here, huh? So, you know
the blab will be on there, but nope.
I'll show you that. There's new code out there. That's the blab. I don't want the blab. Oh, the blab. Yeah, you have your blab show is your. I just didn't want to go there. So let me show you some time on a new little tool out there. I mean, it may not work for your old shows though. Your podcast. Don't open this now. Because I've got an archive on here that actually plays right away. And it's just an archive. You can take any old podcast and your provider can archive that. That's an archive link. And I just go archive. But again, sorry, it's 300 some odd shows. That's a ton of shows.
Shows.
How many downloads are they getting now? You know?
I actually haven't seen the latest stats because if you download the app, the podcasts are all right there.
So I go in the backside and sort of see, it's amazing how many people will download old shows or look for something or they find something.
Yeah. We have about 280,000 followers.
Well, that's good. You've done that's how you build success.
That's how you build success. I'm like, okay, that's great. Download the shows.
You know, that's a big commitment what you did on that website, though.
Yeah.
And is it paying for itself? Is it helping?
It is paying for itself, yeah.
Now,
very worth it.
Have you gone on many other podcasts?
I do a handful of podcasts, actually. This is like my 4th or 5th blab that I've been a guest on, and then I've been on regular radio and TV.
The terrestrial. And close. And then the podcast, you said you've done quite a few of those?
I've done quite a few of those.
So, well, anyway, I will be getting this up. And what's your next job? Where are you going next so people can, where are you speaking next in this year?
Oh my gosh, I'm speaking, I'm in New York City for St. Patrick's Day.
That's a nice place to be. Boston's good though too.
Boston is good too, but I'm looking forward to, so my next travel jump is in March. Dang, next month.
Next month. So you sort of plan it and you group it.
Yeah. I try not to fly January, February.
Yeah, that makes sense.
December, January, February. I really try not to fly. If I can drive there and speak, great. But flying, it's not worth the risk.
I don't know how much you know about gymnastics, but I was asking, why are they having the Manhattan Classic last January? because they had snow on both
Yeah.
sides.
You get snow on both sides. Exactly.
And that's rough, yeah. And you have to go through Chicago or any place like that. It's really rough. But they had good weather and lucked out. By the way, my 13-year-old placed #1 in level 8. So,
oh, congrats. That's excellent.
they're in the high level. They go to Long Beach next week. Already gone to San Francisco. But they're in the high level of gymnastics. It's very competitive.
Oh, that's awesome.
So a lot of work, though. A lot for my wife, too. More for my wife than me. So that's good. Any other things? Great site. I'll definitely start watching. What time of year do you speak most? What month do you speak most?
Spring.
In the spring?
Yep. March, April, May, June.
Do you get to Las Vegas much?
I do, actually. I do get up to Vegas quite a bit. I'll have to let you know next time I'm out there.
Or Nevada, Reno, or even Sacramento.
Yep, and I'm out in California it seems like I'm out in California all the time.
It seems like if I was a speaker, a great place to be would be either Las Vegas, would be a good place to work from.
Colorado seems to be the best.
Denver?
I have a lot of friends. Yeah, I have a lot of friends. I go out to Denver quite a bit as well, but I have a lot of friends in Denver, and they're like, that are speakers, and they're like, this is great. We're the central hub. We can get anywhere. Yeah,
it's true. That's true. Or Atlanta, of course, you can get a lot of places too. But I was just thinking, to be able to speak, I guess you travel to speak. If you lived in Las Vegas, it wouldn't be the same thing. Going out and speaking.
Yeah, it's like traveling into Boston. Woo!
And every week here, there are conferences that go through Reno. And in the wintertime, we've got certain pretty high-end ones because they go up and ski.
Yeah.
And they have their big conferences here. So, all right. And one last question. If for those speakers, people want to become the speakers, what type of topics would you recommend people try to study to learn to speak on to have the best luck to get booked and become a speaker?
It has to be their passion point. So, every topic has a market. So it really comes down to what's your passion point. Right now, my friends that speak on politics, this is their busiest time of year. They bone up until, every 4 years they're slammed. So it comes down to whatever your passion is.
How do you speak on politics in front of people? Are like comedians, or what are they speaking on? Because politics is scary because you usually torque off half the people you speak to.
Yeah, so they will do a leadership talk, but entwine the political avenue into it, and it's a hot topic. Every 4 years, it's a hot topic.
That is interesting. Before 9/11, I was in politics a lot when I was young, and I'm sort of out of it now. But that's interesting, a combination. You can tie that every 2 years, actually, because you have elections every 2 years. And then, so what are the other topics that people? I'm looking at your topics. So you're empowering women and business and women. So, who is your avatar? What age group?
Depends. So I have two that I speak on. I do women's empowerment, which is really anything from millennial up. It's a pretty broad stroke, which is nice. And then the other area is generational inclusion. And again, that's talking more to mid-level up to VP level. So
are you talking to corporations, or what type of
corporations as well as conferences?
What type of conferences?
I do a lot of women's conferences, financial conferences, insurance conferences. So there's a handful of trade affiliation conferences.
Any realtors?
You know what? I do have some realtor work coming up in conflict management.
Oh, interesting. Governments need that too. See, local governments actually need that conflict management. We didn't really talk about that. That's our area in politics that they do need some help and guidance on.
Oh, absolutely.
How to get along and work together.
How to get along and work together.
The other thing you have now too that I think is more prominent as you have men and women in the workforce equally is the way people are treated in the workforce, especially young women, older guys. That's an interesting, that's a weird dynamic.
It is a weird dynamic, and it's interesting when we look at sexual harassment law and the prevalence of sexual harassment. We're actually seeing that that's decreased, that there aren't as many reported cases. The unfortunate part is that's because men are ashamed to report harassment because the shoe is on the other foot now. So it's pretty interesting. And if that's your, if that's your stick, if that's what you want to talk about, if that's your experience, then that's your platform.
I mean, I fortunately, knock on wood, all my environments, I think we've done pretty well, but I could see how there'd be problems. I had a stint with the federal government. I was a reservist active duty, and I sort of went back in for about 5 years into a program. And there's a lot of training too now. in a
There
lot
is.
of, and the rules are laid out. I don't think the rules used to be there,
No,
towards how to work.
it's pretty clear cut, and it's really hard to, it's really hard to prove.
Like the dating too, with their coworkers, dating and relationships and all that.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, and that just happens. It's kind of weird, and there's got to be some interesting things there. And so what do you see? And one last question, I'll let you go. What do you see for the future on your topic, your issue, for changes in the workforce?
I think what we're seeing now, especially in the generational inclusion area, is companies are well aware that they were caught with their pants down with millennials coming in. And for me, that's a great thing that they were caught with their pants down, because it increases my demand more. Because the I generation that's coming forward, which are my kids, if you were caught down with your pants, if your pants were caught down with millennials, you were going to be blown out of the water with the I generation. They are really a unique force that will change. It's not, millennials are shifting. I generation is going to change how business is being done. So it's very interesting, very cool stuff.
The I generation, interesting. So here, quick question. I just looked at your website. One last question here, going through this. You have emotional intelligence, women leadership, millennium leadership, boardroom to bedroom. That's
Boardroom
we were
to
just
bedroom.
talking about that. Work-life strategies and guest appearances. Those are interesting little topics. I didn't even notice them. I noticed the pictures. I just noticed that heading. So the boardroom to bedroom, is that just to grab attention here?
It is. It's work-life balance, work-life harmony. But we liked the tag boardroom to bedroom.
Those are heck of a pictures on there.
I know.
It's kind of like, it throws you off, here, and all of a sudden you get this one. That's the old stereotype. Especially
Absolutely.
in acting. Do you ever go in, since you have a background in acting, and go in and speak to the different groups?
Oh yeah.
Skills, performance teams.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, I'll let you go. I'm going to edit this and get this up. If any other questions, give me a yell. If you need anything out here, we're up Saturday morning to review websites, but we reviewed yours. You just got I think yours was one of the best websites we've seen in a long time for what you do. Right. So you're all set. They're taking care of you.
We're taking care of
you. Now, your marketing company, your PR company, did they set up your website? Did they contract it and work it?
They did the whole thing.
So they had their teams. Yeah. I used to build houses and design, build construction. You can't do it all. Really, my expertise was knowing what right looks like and being able to get the right subcontractors to do the right work.
Mm-hmm.
And that's still an art, because this is pretty nice. Did you get to pick out these pictures at all?
Yes. Yep. I sent them, I think, 120 pictures, and then they picked out what they wanted to use.
And they've got tags on top. There's a lot to this.
There's a lot. Hey, like I said, it's not my thing. So I said, here you go, do it. And
it's
they
fast.
did.
I know, it's huge.
They did a great job.
There's like a zillion pages on your site. And there's your talk radio right there.
Uh-huh.
So talk radio, what is your talk? I'm finding more stuff when I hunt around here.
I know, it's cool.
It's a lot of work. And all your social media, let me look at your Twitter, Facebook.
Yeah.
I already friended you on Facebook.
I saw that. I accepted.
Yeah. I need to clear up my stuff. Well, it's very good. I said your name too. I think it said Lauran instead of Lauran, right?
Don't worry about it. Lauran, yeah.
Lauran. It's Lauran. I said Lauran. That's why I'll say it correctly on the intro. That's why I'll go back and post-production. Lauran. That's an interesting name. Lauran is a name of a navigational system at sea.
That's what I'm named after.
Really?
The Navy radar system. Yeah, my dad was a CV.
I used to use Lauran. I was a pilot early on, and we used Lauran over the ocean.
Yeah.
You had to use Lauran. Yeah. CB, huh? So he's been he's been out in California at there's a big CB training station there in California.
Sure.
And that's where they train all the CBs. Midway, I know the name of it. It's like along the coast. What's the name? Port Hueneme is where they train CBs.
Nice.
So, done it. Well, thanks. I'm going to take off and start working on your show.
Excellent.
Anybody else? Mike, anything else up there today? Okay. I might have Mike jump in here for a second. I got to talk to him if he wants to come up. Mike, can you come up? There he is. Hey, say hi. There's Mike.
Oh, hello.
Hey, Mike.
How we doing?
Good.
He's from
There we
Good
go.
site. You want to see a good website? Look at Lauran's website. I can't believe I didn't say your name right. I should remind people to pronounce their name 3 times before I
Right.
start the show.
Yeah.
I've done that before. Here he goes. S.
That's it.
S. Am I missing? Who's the S for?
Stowe High School.
Oh, Stowe. Yes.
Woohoo.
Even Ohio. Stowe, Ohio.
We just got our new lacrosse hat. So,
Oh, nice. We're the Bulldogs too.
yep.
We're the Bedford Bulldogs.
So yeah, in about an hour, I got to head over to school. We got practice here in a little bit.
Nice. My girls play lacrosse.
Oh, lacrosse is huge in the Northeast.
It's huge up here.
Yeah, you guys play at a different level than we play out here. So, I was lucky. I have one of my assistants. They're from Buffalo, so they were very well schooled in the East. What do I want to say? I guess the right way to play. So.
Right way, wrong way. Who cares? Just play.
Lauran, I want to say is your picture is excellent today.
Oh,
I mean,
thank
it's
you.
Really, 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 really good. The colors.
It's the Logitech.
What it's probably a 920 or something. I've got a Logitech too. It's not as
10. Let me see, I'd have to is it 1080? I think.
Wow, that's an older one. It's sure actually good.
This is the 10. It looks like the 1080.
I'm not sure the 920 is as good as they say it is. A 920 to 930. It's a newer one.
Yeah.
A
Yeah, I
1080,
just got it not too long ago.
It's really good. Your colors, your blue, plus the colors you're wearing are really good. Do you have makeup on too?
Of course I do.
See, guys don't do that. That's a
Your
trick.
makeup
It's
on?
makeup,
Of course
so put
I
makeup
do.
on.
And it's a little heavier than normal because I knew I was going on film.
It looks really good. You look really good. And the light's just perfect. However light you have. What are you using for light?
My overhead.
Wow.
That's it. It's that thing.
That's amazing. I don't know.
That's
You just
my
got you got the right place in the house.
Yeah, I do. It's my office, and it's a lot of natural light in here. So.
And what kind of computer? Laptop?
It is a Microsoft Office Pro 3.
Wow.
Surface Pro.
Yeah. It's good.
It's a great computer.
There. And you have an iPhone, right? You use an iPhone?
Yep. I use an Android.
An Android. Yeah.
I'm all Microsoft.
So you're Microsoft. You probably, because of the corporate world, you came out of that and stuck with it. It's working.
It works.
Hey, Mike, what I was going to do is going to ask you about shooting a little shot pre-show, but I'm not going to do it today. I may go back and pull some other shows. I've got somebody coming up. Let's see who this is. So now we got a blab going here.
Hello.
If your time. Hi.
Right?
There he is.
This is Dr. Corey. How you doing?
Dr. Corey, have you met Lauran?
Hey there.
Yeah, I believe so. Hi,
Hello,
Miss
Dr.
Lauran.
Corey.
And Mr. Bill. And Mr. Mike.
Hello.
You know,
Now you're
is
from
that
New York,
a
right?
S?
You're coming from New York?
I used to live in New York, but I'm in California, Los Angeles, and
it's LA.
Mr. Mike, is that a S or is it 8?
Yes.
S, like Superman.
That's Superman.
Superman.
You know, I just wanted to say that failure definitely is not an option in my life. And that's why I resigned from my job. Because there were some supervisors and managers in our county of Los Angeles, for example, in our governments. They're not respecting people's seniority. They're not respecting people's dignity. They're not respecting their credentials, experience, background. It comes at all different levels. So if people are willing to play that game, be my guest. But I'm not going to be part of that kind of a failure environment.
Good. Smart.
It is. No,
Absolutely. It takes courage, let me tell you.
you don't want to you don't want to quit, that's for sure.
No. I give my resignation letter to the, I have a master's of science in law. I wrote every word like I mean it. So,
hey, quick question for everybody. So how do you decide when not to go forward on something and shift? It's called shift. Like Seth Godin, Shift. I need to read his book, I guess. He's got a book out.
Or pivot.
Not pivot. He's got the
That's
dip.
right. Pivot.
Seth Godin's got the dip. It's a book I need to go ahead and buy that, I guess. I've read a few Zeths. I've read Purple Cow.
You're going in and out.
Can you hear me, Mike? Okay.
Yes.
You getting any echo at all?
Is it me or is
The echo kind of comes and goes, but Bill, right now, Bill, you're frozen.
Took off. Yeah. I had a little problem today with the show. Lauran took off. She had to go, but appreciate it.
Mr. Bill, do you have a question for me that I can contribute
how do you decide?
Important conversation?
How do you decide when not to go forward on something that you believe in? Like, how do you decide when to quit?
You know, Mr. Bill, I'm going to answer you by a quote that has been very important in our American life, which is called, "It's better to lose the game but win the battle." Have you heard
that's
that
very
before?
good. It's like know when to fold them, know when to hold them. That's another thing that fits in there. You've got to, you want to win the battle.
In other words, if you're not going to go forward with something, can you hear me?
Yeah, loud and clear.
Okay. If you're going to not do something, you better do it strategically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Does that make sense?
For success, to come back and...
No plan. The plan is a crippling... I'm a scientist. I mean, plan to, for American, like the next president candidates who have the best plan. We have had presidents that with their plan, they destroyed America. This plan thing is important, but it's not everything. It's not everything. The reason I say that is because I explored this kind of stuff anthropologically. I studied this stuff professionally, and I studied this stuff politically. Plan it could be a lie. We have to have leadership. We have to have, it was a general who said that. When you want to go to war, have a plan. But when you're on the battlefield, nothing is going to go according to the plan.
Well, that's true. I'm a graduate of West Point, and we make a lot of plans, and we have a lot of actions, and the micro things that we do keep us alive. But the plans usually change substantially in the middle of the battle. They never.
What about
and you got to be spontaneous.
It was about the Mike Tyson said, everyone has a plan until they get hit.
Yeah. Mike Tyson speaking in Reno this weekend. It sounded really good. I listened to the lead-ups to it. Sounds really good. He's been sober for 4 years.
Well, Mike Tyson is in Vegas, you said?
No, he's in Reno. He's going to speak in Reno. A lot of times they'll come up here to start their speaking careers before they go to Vegas. They'll practice up here. Similar environment in the casinos. He's going to speak at the Grand Sierra,
Mike Tyson is there, and Mike Tyson is there, and I'm here.
You're down in L.A.
You know what I'm trying to say?
Hey,
I'm in L.A., but I'm talking to you right now here in this, in this moment. So we're having a very important conversation that is going to the cyberspace with your recording around.
That's true. I meant to say globally. That this is a international broadcast. I think I'm going to start putting that on the top of the broad.
Absolutely. I had a show today about slavery. You may want to watch it on Blab. Everyone, I invite you. Because I have a platform that is a marketing platform. Everyone comes and introduce themselves on Dreams Come True coaching platform. Is an entertaining platform, is entertainment. People get to say who they are, what they do. They get into the conversation. They have a couple of aha moments, like in that shift that they make during the show, and they learn something about themselves, me, everyone else, and then they go forward, and they leave them. They leave with a message that all the world, whoever has a handheld device can.
That is so true now. It's international. The international netcast. It's truly a netcast going everywhere.
This show of yours, Bill, is more important than any radio show major, because any handheld, whoever has I have an Apple.
That's right.
I have a best device, by the way, and best device now is Apple. Yep. Everything else is just playing or making a.
Hey, on a side note, I'm learning.
So what I'm trying to
real fast. It was Lauran's connection that was getting an echo. And I didn't have her refresh. Mike, hear that?
Okay.
Lesson learned. I'm trying to think how we improve shows too. I got you what you're saying, and that I had that thought earlier at the international, but I was just saying, just so they know in the shows, because Mike is on the backside, and I just want to go that up.
And I wouldn't, Mr. Bill, I wouldn't be doing this with you if this wasn't a global event, by the way.
Hey, do you have...
I wouldn't waste my time to just chit-chat with you.
I don't understand. Do you use...
because I have a very...
Do you use... do you have another mic? Yeah, that mic is okay, but you have to know how to use it right, like you're using it.
No, because I'm so mobile, it does...
Very good.
You're
very clear.
Oh, good. Because I'm mobile and I don't have, a sedentary lifestyle, maybe like you doing this show. I do when I'm walking, driving.
I'm not sedentary.
Like, no. What I'm saying is that like you're sitting for I don't know how many hours.
No, I do that too much on this business. Yeah, I like to get out too.
Yeah, I'm constantly moving. I could be, in the restroom and doing this.
I have had people do that. I've got a little test Blab, and someone was flipping around. Someone came up. Hey, Mike, here's both of you guys. You've been around Blab for a while. How do you say your name, Dr. Corey?
Dr. Corey, but my full name is Kurosh Peymani. Is a very ancient Persian name. I'm Jewish from Iran originally. I'm in the United States since 1979.
You're Jewish from Iran?
Iran. No.
Iran.
There is only one way to say it, and globally, this is a global event, Bill. We have to pronounce our names exactly as it is, not because we can say it.
Yeah, I do know that you should always try to pronounce it as per the culture of the people. Iran.
Well, if a president of the United States says Iran, is because it's a political event. He's trying to, for example, do something with the word.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying that. I'm saying that I'm a politician too. I work with politicians, so that's why I'm mentioning that as a political level. I have a master's of science in law.
And
I have explored these things at a genetic
level.
You
studied anthropology too, it sounds like.
Oh, absolutely. I have my whole PhD in psychology I have a master's in marital family therapy, but I'm not licensed because I wanted to be an entertainer. So I'm an entertainer, basically. But I'm a consultant, I'm a coach, I'm a life coach, career coach, business consultant, and all that. But before that, even, during this process, I studied about spirituality, religion, motivation, many of this kind of stuff, Bill.
Yeah, no, I can relate.
Do you guys have any question for me? Because I can ask.
Well, I do. Here's a question I have for you. I just put a link in there. Come up and do a timeline, and we'll go into some background information, a little bit about you, life and success principles, and then how the listener can get a hold of you. And we'll do a regular show.
I'm 24/7 online, whether I'm online or I'm offline. People can contact me. People can call me, Skype me, email me. I'm 24/7 online. I'm never offline, by the way.
What did you do?
I'm with you or without you, I'm continuing on 24/7.
Hey, where'd you live in LA? What part of LA?
Los Angeles, California.
Well, LA is huge. I know LA somewhat. What part? Oh, Sherman Oaks. Okay. Yeah, that's up Highway 5. It's a nice area. You have a big gas leak just up the highway, not far from you, up in the hill.
I see. Where do you live?
I grew up in Orange County.
No, where
I live
do you
in
live
Reno,
now?
Nevada.
Oh, excellent. And
I'm
Mike?
near Cleveland.
Stowe. Not Stowe. Yeah, Stowe.
Stowe, Ohio, which, we're just, we're south of Cleveland.
Was it Cleveland where Standard Oil started?
I have no idea. It's Akron is where all the tire companies started, but I don't know if Standard Oil started here. I mean, Cleveland had the steel factories that are now gone, but I don't think Standard Oil started in Cleveland, but I don't know.
Rockefellers?
All I can tell you, Mike, is that I like the redneck jokes that this stand-up comedian tells people. You know what is that guy?
Oh, there's the cable guy. There's Jeff
cable
Foxworthy.
guy.
Jeff Foxworthy.
Those three.
Those guys.
Three. Yeah. The guy with the mustache.
Yeah, I think he's Jeff Foxworthy. I think they both have a mustache, but yeah, Jeff Foxworthy has made a whole career on that type of comedy.
So, Mike, do you think that we have to give up on our guns, or we have to keep it legalized for everything?
Well, if you look at if you don't know history, you're deemed to repeat it. And I think one of the arguments I saw was that the different countries that made their people take their guns away, the country turned around and eliminated them. So, and I grew up around guns. My grandfather was a gunsmith, and it was just, it was an Italian family. We drank wine as little kids. We had guns. It all made perfect sense. So, I would say no. I think that's another part of the government reaching into our pockets that they don't need to be, because having grown up.
If you could, I have a philosophical question.
The gangs, they know how to get guns. They're not going to go in and license them. So, now you have the authority have guns, the criminal have guns, and the 80% of the people in between are helpless.
Okay, let me ask you this, which is a very important question to whoever has guns. I'm not licensed. I don't have any, whatever, but I never had. And my father didn't have, no one in my family had. But my question to you is that if you could use, let's say, if you go hunting without guns, would you do it?
Well,
if you knew how to hunt without guns.
You know what?
In other words, if
I was going to say, I never had interest in hunting. You have hunters that use bow and arrow. That's
protecting.
Yeah.
Are you only for protection?
I'm for the right to have it. As long as you're using it, using the golden rule and not using it to take advantage of people. I think you should have the right to have it.
So you're all for protection, right?
Well, I would say in respect to where the government's saying, hey, we don't want you to have them, I would be opposed to that, because it could come to that. I don't have one. I've never owned one. I don't have one. I have no interest in it. But I believe that if you have interest in it, you should be able to have one.
Mike, just advice. I wouldn't tell anybody if I own or don't own a weapon, because that makes you a target.
Yeah. Well, there is some truth to that.
Honestly, I wouldn't.
The only thing that I
not advertise that to anybody.
Yeah.
I'm
they don't know about the tripwires that I have if you come into my house illegally. So beware.
The Second Amendment.
But if people knew how to, if you or anyone for that matter who believe in guns for protection, if they knew how to protect themselves without guns, wouldn't that be great?
Yeah, but I just thought of something else. Let's just look at underage drinking. Okay. Does that mean a parent shouldn't have alcohol in their house because their child might sneak and take that alcohol and go out and get drunk? So we should outlaw alcohol?
Well, alcohol is a food. My father was alcoholic, for example, and he was a medical doctor. So when he didn't have, during the revolution of Iran, when he didn't have alcohol any longer, he was, due to being a medical doctor, he could get alcohol that he could just mix with water and drink, like a medical.
Yeah. No, I was just, saying from the standpoint of your question. I don't know how to. I don't have an answer to it. My response is, we should have the ability to purchase a gun if we choose to, for whatever reason other than using it illegally.
For example, I studied. I practice martial arts, and I do. For example, in martial arts, they taught, students where the pressure points are. That like there are pressure points that by putting the finger on a certain pressure point, you can kill a person just by a finger.
Oh yeah.
So, if a person just studies about pressure points, why would they need a gun? They could just kill someone just by, or protect themselves
because
by
they want one.
A finger.
Because they want one. They should have the ability to have one because they want one. There doesn't really need to be a reason. I think they should be free to have one as long as they're following the rules. And if they break the rules, then they should suffer the consequences. But I don't think I should have to go into and say, I think government's got their hands in too many things as far as, what we can do and what we can't do, which is usually motivated by money, So,
yes. So we have the right to want what we want according to the law.
And I'm saying in respect to guns, that we should have the right to purchase a gun as long as we're abiding by the laws, just like a driver's license, just like drinking, just like smoking, just like anything else that the government's got their hands in. And I have some friends in Chicago that own gun shops, and I hear both sides.
Well, I teach people not to need to use a gun.
Okay.
That's what I teach people. But if you guys don't mind, I maybe come back later because I have a client waiting for me.
Every morning.
I love to be on your show. If anyone, for example, Bill, I have stated to people, and I highly urge people, if they really want me in their show, please give me a phone call on my confidential line and ask Dr. Corey, are you available to come to my show right now? And if I have time, I would be glad to be.
I set all my stuff up ahead of time. I have a format at 9 o'clock. I try to follow a little bit.
Yeah, but I have a 24/7 business.
Yeah, well, I'm always available.
So I can't.
I understand.
Oh, I appreciate it. Appreciate it. Thank you, guys. Right. It has been a pleasure.
All right, take care.
Take care.
Hey, Mike, I want to explain something. I learned something today. I tried a show yesterday where I didn't do any pauses, but I'll tell you what, the reverb or the sound was from my guest, Lauran. And I redid mine several times. I don't know why I didn't have her regenerate hers.
I was just kind of listening, and I didn't think they have either. You got to have that little, as you go on, you have that little cheat sheet, if this doesn't work, try this. If this doesn't work, try this, have the guest refresh, just simple things that you forget.
And it could have been something simple as she had 2 windows open on her computer.
Could be, right? Or had something open, just period, because I've had people say, close everything down when you're on Blab. I have one. Well, right now I have 4 tabs open, but I've never had to close down any tabs when I'm on Blab. It's never been. It
depends, but sometimes just rebooting will bring it back. But it was definitely her, so I might have a little reverb on that. It's funny. I've been doing this a long time, and I still find that I make mistakes. By the way, it's not a big deal, but you still have a little bit of noise in there.
No, and you need to just have that little cheat sheet over there because you do forget. But it also could be Blab sometimes. Yesterday I had to keep refreshing because my screen wasn't coming up when I was going in and out of Blabs.
That happens a lot with me, and sometimes I have to plug the USB in and out.
Yeah. Or turn it all the way off.
Hey, do me a favor. Look at this. I'm going to redo this. We're not going to do this today. If you go to Timelines of Success /
Are you sending me the link, or do you want me to?
I'm going to drop the link in, the interview link. And what I did was yesterday, I was going to have you come in the backside and help me make an example, maybe someday, of what, the pre-workup in the interview looks like. But I just stuck that in the top of my scheduling. So I recommend people come up and Blab ahead of time. I just definitely learned something today. It wasn't me. I don't know why I didn't have her refresh her screen. That's where
this is where you're going to have your speaker see. Can you go in there and just, since we're talking about it, for instance, if there's a reverb or echo, hey, refresh your screen.
Yeah, I need to make a checklist.
Yeah.
Like a show checklist.
Yeah.
I'll put it right up on here. I put under links for me and just open that up and go through the checklist. If we get a reverb, remember to have all parties refresh it. But sometimes I turn somebody off, but that was coming from her. As soon as she left, it left. And I was getting it. So I'll probably have that in the podcast.
And I didn't hear anything. I mean, on my end, I didn't hear anything. So.
Whatever the person who generates the show hears, I think is what we hear on the recording.
Gotcha.
I'll find out here shortly. I'm going to start editing this right away. So here's you hold me responsible. Here's what I'm doing today. I'm taking an Infusionsoft. I'm sitting it up to a small group, and I'm gathering names on my Infusionsoft list of different groups and tagging them. I've got to do that more. The second thing is I'm going to build I'm going to rebuild this schedule and netcast. And then I want to get up a $5 course on how to use Blab and how to get set up in Blab. I'll tell you, I wonder what's going to happen to podcasts.
Now with that, well, just let me back up. I would suggest have the $5, but then have the 47, 97, 197.
Yeah.
You know, on the
that course
end.
is not done yet, maybe coaching, but I think I'm going to have 3 products, the $5 and then the basic netcasting course. And then for $400, I'll set up netcasting and set up a web page that looks a lot like
that's what Kim Garst did, and she's made a ton of money.
Well, who's that?
Kim Garst. She's really big with Twitter and Periscope. And you'll see her on Blab all the time, too.
I can go in and set up a web page pretty fast. So, put everything in place with all the right widgets. So
she starts with a $9 program and then just keeps, you know, and then at the same time, she's gathering those names.
Yeah. I have 200 now. Yeah. Every time you talk to somebody every day.
Yeah. Yeah.
I wonder if
that's where my insurance site now is set up, that anybody who goes in will go to my Get Response list.
What do you think the best time is for a Blab?
Well, you know that Jonathan Tripp, he does his at 10. His keep the 10 Eastern. Mm-hmm. His keeps growing.
He's on right now, right?
No, 10 Eastern. 10 Eastern. So that would be 7 a.m. You guys.
Oh, earlier.
So he's on 10 Eastern Eastern time. I've been a guest. I was a guest host on his show, and I watched.
Didn't he just have a big name on? Didn't he have Jonathan Tripp? He had who's the guy?
But he does one every day at 10, and he gets anywhere from he's been in the 30s and the 40s as far as people that have been on live, and then over the hundreds as far as people that have visited. And then he also has he pushes him to a Facebook group, that Blab Nation.
Yeah, Blab Nation, that's him. And he looks good.
And Leland is his co-host, but I was a co-host. It was either this week or last week. So,
and he's got good colors. I'm looking at his site right here. What does he do to make money?
I don't know. I don't know what his end game is or what he does, but
he's got a nice looking website.
I'm sure it's from what I would guess it's probably just marketing. I don't know, some kind of SEO marketing or some
got a good name, Blab Nation.
Yeah, some kind of I don't know if he's in the coach world. But just by some of his guests, because I'm hopefully will be a guest, and we'll be talking about, because we talked a little bit about doing wills, trusts, and life insurance, which is, I said if he's looking to get and just go on a more broad scope as far as his show. So
what did he talk about?
Well, what was on there today? I was watching it today. What was the guy? Let me think here. Who was on today?
He's got a YouTube link here too.
Yesterday he was talking about somebody with a plug-in that was pretty interesting. It had to do about emoticons and stuff. That was pretty cool. Usually some kind of tech person, some type of marketing type person. Somebody in that arena. This arena.
Mm-hmm.
And let me think here. He did not have any pre-stuff. He went on the Blab, in the Blab Nation. He said, who's interested in the co-host? And I said, I'll do it, And so he said, hey, somebody canceled out. And a couple of weeks went by, and he said, and then I get an email, and he says, it was a Facebook message, and he says, hey, would you want to co-host tomorrow? And I said, sure. So yeah. I'm sure he probably clicked on and looked or whatever, but that was it. And then we talked. There was the guest in there, and I'm sorry, I can't even remember who was the guest was that day, but
yeah, it's funny how your head spins. It all
kind of blends together.
The one thing, by the way, Cleveland is where Standard Oil started. I was right.
Really? Okay.
I read the book, The Titan. It's all about Rockefeller and where he grew up. He grew up in Cleveland.
No, I didn't know that either. I thought Rockefellers were from out east.
No, he started in Cleveland
Really?
before the Civil War, and he
Okay.
worked. He's an accountant. His first job was working with a barge grain trade company out of Cleveland. And they're a commodity company, and that's how he learned commodities. And then he started investing in this this new thing that they would take the oil and they would turn it into kerosene. So he really made his first money on kerosene lanterns. And then during the Civil War, he made a bunch of money selling to the United States Army.
Makes sense. Hey, did you watch the Madoff show last night?
No, Bernie Madoff?
Yeah.
Well,
Richard Dreyfuss was played Bernie Madoff. It'll probably be recorded. It was pretty good. I mean, because you kind of knew what happened. But obviously, kind of like the OJ. I mean, that OJ show started on Monday on FX. But yeah, unfortunately, I was taping it. I mean, I always, if like this show here, or if the show starts at 8, I'll tape it and I watch it about 8:45. Then I don't have to go through the commercials. And that's what I did with this one. But then there was after the trial, and it didn't tape that, and it was going into real talking to the real people that were involved in that. And I would really like to see that. But
that will probably be on again.
Yeah, I'm hoping it will. But it was interesting. His one son committed suicide 2 years to the day that he turned himself in. The other son ended up dying of cancer. His main CFO died of cancer. His brother, who was involved, is in jail for 10 years. They kind of went right down the, his wife is off in Connecticut somewhere. They gave her $2.5 million, and she's living in somewhere in Connecticut.
She's able to keep some money, huh?
But, and again, $2.5 million she ended up getting to keep. But this was what was interesting. They had Bernie. What was happening is they showed him in prison, and then they show him kind of like talking to the camera and then walking, So he's like sitting there playing cards with his other inmates, but then he's kind of walking away, and he says, you probably think I'm really upset to be in here. And he says, frankly, I'm not. I don't have anything to worry about anymore. So it was really, I think, that last dig, because they really portrayed him as cold and heartless. So it was interesting.
He's pretty cold and heartless, though.
Well, that's what they were, claiming him. When all along, as people were pulling their money out, he was, he says, look what I did for you all these years, and now you want to take your money, and. Yeah. But again, the entertainment value, you always got to kind of keep that in mind.
It's really weird. I can't turn off my phone's volume all the way on Blab.
Yeah, I tried that too on mine, and I've not been able to figure that out. And I don't know on the iPhone where the mute is. If there is a mute button.
The volume right there. It's supposed to be right there.
Well, yeah, I can see my volume. I mean, I can lower it, but is that why can't it just mute? You got to hit those. You got to hit the button a bunch of times.
Yeah, it should mute. I think there must be something with Blab.
Because I know my Android, it was very easy to find. There was one button, and I could hit mute, and I could delete. But here, it's like a process, and so I'm just probably missing something, because it shouldn't be that difficult.
But I shouldn't hear it on the side over here, and it's so bring it up even louder. It's on the speaker. I don't want to. It's got to be something with the app. It's definitely something with that. So anyway, we learned something today. I should have had my gas recycle.
Yeah, it should be one of the last things. Hey, before we start recording, let's all recycle.
But I wouldn't do that if it's not a problem. But I think it came from her site, even though I had this up here. Mm-hmm. 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2. That's something wrong today. Usually I can mute that. I used to be able to mute that. I can't mute it now.
But though, keep in mind, sometimes it could be on Blab's end.
That's what I'm thinking. It's a Blab's end with the app. It won't let me mute.
It could be on their end. So you're going crazy. And
let me turn this up here and see if that's different. Turn the notification off. Nope. I think it's a Blab thing. There's a lot of Blab things out there still working and fixing this platform.
Well, who was somebody was talking? We were talking on my little secret group. We were talking about beta groups, and then they said Gmail was in beta for 5 years.
Yeah. Hey, let me turn this off. One thing I noticed that's different. It's only. Let's see. No, I don't want to do that. Hang up. No, I don't want to hang up. I just want to go off air. So I'll shoot my off air. So I think when I do this, you don't hear it. Okay. Now it definitely is muted.
Yeah, but I don't see anything.
But it's muted. It's still on here. I can hit this.
Oh, okay.
I can still give you props. Give me props.
Okay.
But definitely should have recycled her today. I realized that it was coming off her blab. A lot of stuff. I can still hear a little bit of wind sound off yours, noise.
Well, that's probably picking up my humidifier.
That's a humidifier.
That's the only thing. And I said it's around the corner, probably 5-10 feet away.
And you've got your gain picked up a lot on that mic, which is nice. Then you don't get the S's and the sounds, the breathing sounds.
I went online. I was going to get the little sponge here, and it was $3, but you had to buy $25. You had to buy it with something else.
Yeah, you just buy it and leave it there, and eventually it'll show up when you buy $25 next time.
Right. Yeah, I just got it sitting there.
So you buy it though, and you just wait for it to come.
I may just walk into Audio Technica. I've never gone into their front doors and say, "Hey, I want to buy this." See if they'll sell it to me.
They should have them there.
Yeah,
that'd be fun to go there. But anyway, lessons learned. Anything? And one thing I was thinking about you is I don't see this as much when we first started blabbing, like you and I met, but I don't see people doing that as much anymore. Meeting like you and I met.
I do see that more. I mean, Jonathan was doing Jonathan was doing a call on just how to start, and the conversation was just jump in, just start watching the show, because people want to start their show and then you got nobody to talk to. That was like Periscope. I was doing a Periscope every day, but I wasn't getting any audience, So I said, this is crazy. Even though it's saved and I can push it and repurpose it, it wasn't really doing me any good because there was no audience. So people were telling their stories about that and how they've, started shows together and stuff. So I think the smart people are, understanding that.
So you're saying go on to somebody when they first start and just say hi to what you show
Well,
about?
not necessarily when they first start, but I mean, yeah. I mean, like now, Jonathan knows my, he's obviously being a co-host, but, I'll go on and I may just go on, pop in and pop back out.
Yeah.
But, so, hey, hi, Mike, glad being in the show. He might be in the middle of the sentence, which he's saying that to everybody. But, a person says that enough, they're now familiar with you. And the other advantages, which, it worked out for me is it's my name. My thing that you're seeing is my name. It's not it's not anything other than my name. And, you got a good profile picture. So, that goes along with some of these people. They go, nobody knows who I am. Well, you're calling yourself the special person or something. And you have a silhouette up there, that's not going to resonate with anybody.
Right.
And the only guy that seems to still get away with this is this. His name's Roy, who does not show his profile. He's strictly audio, and but it seems to work for him.
Well, ESPN right now has got 130 watchers and 370 views. You've got Tech for Realtors has got 8 watching, 83 views have come through. I'm looking at 17 watching this show, which is prank calls, something or other. Visual stories, you've got 2 watching. That's not resonating.
I saw one, and it was interesting. It was a very well-known person.
Who's that? Great free stuff, tips and links.
It was a very well-known person, and there were just a handful, which again, it goes back to, tweeting it out, posting it, which I was listening on one about Facebook. And I'm like completely confused on any value of Facebook whatsoever, what they're doing with their analytics and some of the changes that they're making. It's my head hurts. So,
well, I was looking at Facebook the other day. It's getting complicated.
Oh,
I should always post on Facebook. The problem is it looks exactly the same almost every time because it's got my picture on it. And I've got a bunch of,
but it's just, the way they're reading the analytics as far as if your stuff's even getting seen by anybody. I mean, right now, your stuff isn't even getting seen by your friends, your connection.
Yeah.
Whatever. And so I mean, I think people got to be throwing their hands up in the air on these people that are relying on trying to teach people how to market and do paid ads, just like with LinkedIn, which goes back to the thing that you're hearing a lot of people say: you got to own your own real estate because these platforms change, and then you could lose.
You got to own the email addresses and send out email links. That's what I need to. That's one thing I've fallen down on too, is getting the email list built.
Well, that, and then like I know on LinkedIn, and I do it about once every 6 weeks.
Let me get this call to my sister. I just want to check. Yeah, hi Susie. What's up? Oh, that's too bad. What's wrong? She eat something? Did she eat something? Oh, she must have ate something if that's happening. Well, I'm on a show right now, so sort of. I'm finishing up a show. I'll call you in a bit. All right, bye. That's weird. Okay. That was my sister. They're traveling. The reason why they're traveling right now, that's why I checked the call.
Now, did you just send this one that Jason's on, Jason Bates? Oh, that's from you. Because, all right, so he's doing that's another guy I listen to a lot, Jason Bates. He's the mortgage guy out in Arizona. You just sent me a link of his blab. So
he's watched. No, I didn't send it, but he's. Oh,
you didn't? It said
he's come up on mine. I didn't send it to you.
It says Bill Conrad. Tech.
Maybe I did. Maybe I hit the wrong guy. I thought maybe I just sent tech for realtors. Maybe.
Yeah, so he's live right now, but he's a podcaster, but now he's on a lot. He does a show on Thursday nights about mortgages, and now he's doing realtor stuff. But
the key is you got to find what's the future. So where's the future? Where do you go? You got to be slightly, not a lot, but just a little bit ahead of people, and you have to have your avatar. John Lee Dumas is the one that amazes me how well he's done, and Pat Flynn.
You know what? I don't know. Let's just look back at YouTube. I mean, when, as far as another viral type of platform, there's not a definite recipe, as far as what's seen, what gets picked up. I think the only recipe is if you can you figured out how to have an enormous number of people, and whether it's a Twitter or LinkedIn. Well, I'd say I have a big LinkedIn thing, and it doesn't resonate for me. But where you have active followers, it's one thing to have a follow. They said I'd rather have 10 people that engage with me than 1,000 followers.
Yeah.
Like a Joel Comm. Joel gets on and just sits there, and he could sing a song, but he'll keep people will come to that and listen.
He's written a book on Twitter, though. He's early on Twitter.
Well, AdSense, the Google AdSense is where he made his. Where he was.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know if he's done a Twitter.
That's gone, right? Google AdSense.
I've tried it. I don't know that much, but I think to a certain degree, yeah, it's not what it was. But I mean, that's where he made his name. Like I was watching that Mike Snelsner from.
Yeah.
And he was talking about his
social media.
Yeah, that Joel Comm is going to be a headliner, and Kim Garst, and he was talking about that. That's where I was listening today. He was bringing on people talking about what's new with Twitter, what's new with Facebook, and that's where they were.
What's his show? He's from San Diego. I know he's got a once a week blab. It's very formal.
Yeah, well, what's the name of that company that he is president of?
Social media something or other.
Yeah, but Social Media Examiner, Social Media something. It's got the little Safari guy. Is the logo, but
too.
But yeah, so he's bringing some pretty big name people to his, and I think that's in Los Angeles, maybe.
It's San Diego.
San Diego, right. He said that. So people like that are going to get it. But I think I saw one. I think where Tony Robbins was on, and it had in the teens. That people.
No, not that low. I saw you've only done. I saw his very first show about a week two ago.
Was it?
He had a lot of folks. He's only had one show, but he may have had one since then.
Yeah, I don't know. So to answer your question, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I'm more of the belief. I'd rather build people that are interested in listening to you than just building these big huge lists.
So I just found his. I'm learning more and more. Mine's. But I just found this
because I had my list that I had grown was about 1,200 or 1,300 on GetResponse. Well, then I found out that 600 of them have never opened an email from me, so I was able to kind of clean that out, and I got it down to 700. So yeah. So I said, 1,200. I'm getting there, but
because it goes someplace, it goes into that's why you have to have them confirm
the analytics.
That's why you send them back though, and you say open up the email and confirm that it goes. Then it won't go into their trash or spam.
Well, these would have all been people that had opted in at one point, and then they never opened up anything after that. So
you can see Mike Stelzner. I just sent his link in there, and it shows what his artwork looks like.
Let's see.
Social Media Examiner. He's well branded. Oh, I don't think it's an easy name to remember.
Yeah.
Social Media Examiner.
Right. Yeah, that, and he was on this morning, and
Morning Social Media Talk. He's got 13 replay, 494 viewers. Here's this morning show. You can listen to it. I wonder if he turns that in. It's 1 hour. He really likes it.
and he was pushing through. I mean, he stayed pretty much on track. It was, the 10 minutes. Okay, we're done with Twitter. 10 minutes, 10 or 15
He talks
minutes.
about
We're done
that,
with Facebook. He was.
But you know what?
pushing
I'm
through.
looking at right now, and he's got some mistakes. Like his eyes are black because he didn't have light on his face. His eyes are dark. He should have a little bit of light reflecting up.
Mm-hmm.
Just a little bit coming up like this.
Are you talking about as far as his profile picture, like above his eyes? You're talking about?
Yeah, his eyes, his colors
Black
aren't
and white.
got a
Well,
t-shirt
too, it's a
on.
black and white picture, which is kind of interesting. So,
The one above is not. That's what Michael Stelzner's the top one.
well, I'm looking at the one to
It's
the
not
left.
black and white for me.
Yeah. It says I guess on Blab, I'm seeing it, but
I'm watching on Blab right now. It's not black
it says
and white.
171 days on Blab, and it's black and white.
What for? I guess we're on a different link. Let me show you. Let me drop my link I just dropped in there.
Yeah, that's the one I clicked.
It's not black and white here. Wait a second. I dropped in two. Now I've got the story here. I dropped in just his link to his site. Michael Stelzner.
But yeah, I'm going to roll here. I got to get out of here in 5 minutes. But yeah, whenever you want to do what you're talking about, just let me know.
I see what you're saying, Black. I just dropped in a show though. His actual show. This is his home page here. That's his picture. The one you got up right there. And then the show link, I just dropped in one of his latest shows, this morning show. Yeah, anyway, just trying to figure it out. It's by inch to the cinch. You still have to get out in your community. You still have to build a network.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So have to sell real estate.
No, you're correct. So now you're doing a show tomorrow? You'll be out there tomorrow, right?
I like to get the real estate show on Fridays, but apparently there's another real estate show that I think I'm competing against because of Jonathan. I'm trying to I just can't take the time to do more than one a day. And when I used to help Jonathan out, I produce a show. Well, I got to tie it in with that one a day. Kind of disappointed that I only got 30 people passing through their day.
Hey, it's hit or miss, and then too, I don't know if you might play with changing the title through the show.
I've done that. That definitely helps. If I want to get more people coming through, changing the title. We've got e-broadcast on right now, thinking like we are.
I mean, even like here, you've been on Lauran Star, but when Dr. Corey was on here, hey, flip over, hey, listen to.
No, I should have flipped over and said, but then put this on the finish.
Or as your guest's topic change, you're going to change the title.
I do that. It works.
Yeah.
But this is for the podcast mainly.
Okay.
I've doubled the podcast. It's a tough thing. It's the whole. You think the netcasting was all tied together, but it's tough.
All right. Well, I got to roll.
Have a good. At least you're going outside. Take care. See you guys.
And I will see you. Yeah, I'll probably see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Okay.